Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We are going to just give a minute or so at the beginning for attendees to join us. So I will take a moment to start us off by again thanking you for joining us for the conversation today and sharing a little bit more about the Exploring Maine Industries webinar series. So this series is a collaboration between the career offices at Southern Maine Community College, the University of Southern Maine, and Educate Maine's Maine Career Catalyst program, with the goal of supporting students' career exploration and understanding of the world of work. Each moderated discussion in the series features a different Maine industry and panel of experts, including employers, professional associations, industry advocates, or working professionals within a particular field, particularly professionals that are coming right out of a post-secondary degree field. The Exploring Maine Industries webinar series is being held on 4 Wednesdays throughout February and March from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. The previous webinar in the series was focused on green and blue careers, and a recording of that is now available if you're interested and missed out on that one. Today, we are centered on discussing Maine hospitality and tourism careers. You can join us on Wednesday, March 4th for a webinar on helping careers, so careers in education, human and social services. And then we'll round out this spring webinar series on Wednesday, March 25th, debunking the myth on manufacturing careers. So it is now my pleasure to pass it over to the moderator of today's discussion, Kathryn Ference.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Kathryn Ference. I'm the Director of Workforce Development for the Maine Tourism Association. MTA is a nonprofit trade association that represents travel and tourism here in the state of Maine. We represent about 1,200 businesses across all aspects of tourism, including lodging, restaurants, outdoor recreation, retail, attractions, museums, and more. Our workforce development department is focused on connecting students and career changers and anyone who's interested in exploring careers in tourism and hospitality to the industry. We do this through our internship program, through our customer service and leadership training courses, through education online and in person, and in many other ways. So today I'm very pleased to be joined by 4 individuals who currently work in this industry, who are kind of early in their careers, to talk about what they do and what kinds of careers are available to people within tourism and hospitality. So I would love it if all of our panelists could start by introducing yourselves, your role, where you work, and how you first became interested in tourism and hospitality. And John, we can start with you.
Okay, sure. So my name is John. I went to SMCC, and currently I'm a front desk supervisor at the Westin Portland HARBORVIEW, which is downtown in Portland. My first interest was coming from I grew up in the Mid-Coast, which is a hot area for tourism in the Maine, at least in the summer. So that's kind of where I got acclimated to that type of environment. And I got an opportunity during COVID from some leadership changes at a resort nearby where I picked up a lot of responsibility quickly in banquets and catering. And I found it to be so fun that I wanted to come to Portland to go to school and get more educated and then get into the industry further. That's kind of my history so far.
Awesome. Ryah, maybe we could do you next.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryah. I am the marketing content coordinator at Allagash Brewing Company. I work on our social media and digital content, so self, you should go follow us on Instagram if you don't. My job is mainly to post on Instagram, take content, and try to portray our brand digitally. I kind of stumbled into this field. I didn't set out per se to work in hospitality, but I knew I wanted to work on social media somewhere, and that can kind of go anywhere in any field. Um, but now that I work in hospitality, I absolutely love it. Before this, I worked in a nonprofit, so this is a totally new setting, and yeah.
Daria?
Hi, everyone. I work at Kennebunkport Resort Collection as a human resource coordinator, but we call our human resources people and culture team. And I started in the hospitality industry actually way before even entering into college. I couldn't decide what I wanted to do for my college degree. So my dad suggested to take a personality test, and the two fields that I aligned strongly with were hospitality and media studies. So I went with hospitality and kind of made it work, but I really love it. I started at USM as a student, and then I got the opportunity to work at the Westin Portland HARBORVIEW where John works. We used to be coworkers. I started as a bartender just throughout college, but working in a hotel, obviously, you get introduced to what it's like in the hotel industry. And then after I graduated college, I worked as a restaurant supervisor, also at the Westin. And after that, an opportunity in HR opened up, and I also, with my hospitality degree, got a communications degree, which aligned with my hospitality career. And I have been in the HR field for 2 years now, I believe, or maybe a little over 2 years. Got introduced through the Westin, and then last February I transitioned to Kennebunkport Resort Collection. And right now I oversee HR duties, but we also heavily utilize H-2B and J-1 visa. So I specialize in legal processing in that, and I also oversee staff housing, which we own as a company. And we employ anywhere from 100 to 130 H2B/J1 visa workers for each season. So I definitely have a handful now, but I really like it. And I think my plan is to progress in the hospitality industry, but take the next step to HR journalist, HR manager, and so on. Thank you.
And Rosie?
Hi, I work at Luke's Lobster and I'm a restaurant manager. I actually did not think I'd go into hospitality at all. I went to college for health science and I worked here as a host and then a server. And then I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And my bosses were like, hey, you can move up. Like, you are a leader here and we'd really like you to stay. And the more I thought about it, I was just like, I do really like it here and I like the whole restaurant atmosphere of like you have different people coming in from all over the place. My dad's a lobsterman and it's a lobster restaurant, so I know a lot about the industry, let alone the service. So when all these people come in and you get to like talk to them, confront them about all these different things, I was kind of like, oh, I like this. Like, this is my cup of tea and I want to stick with it. So I've just been here ever since for the past couple of years, but I started in high school and I started as a host in high school and kept doing it throughout college at USM and I was like, I can't leave. Where am I gonna go? So stuck with it now.
Stuck with it now. So actually, that brings up a good question about college degrees because a couple of you have mentioned your degrees and maybe it's related or maybe it isn't. And so I'd love to kind of like dig into that a little bit more about, do you use your college degree in your daily life at work? Has it been helpful? You don't necessarily always need a college degree in hospitality. So I think it's interesting to sort of talk about that. And maybe Rosie, I'll start with you since you mentioned that you have your degree in health sciences, and then maybe we'll go to Daria, who actually has a hospitality degree. I'd love to kind of see the difference between those two things.
Yeah, so I went to school for health science and I had health science or healthcare administration path. So I had business classes, which I think has helped me in the field that I am in. But the health part, probably not so much, just like the business side of it that I got to learn about. And I kind of wish I did more business classes because of how helpful that has been. But other than that, nothing really relates back other than like in college, I also was on the track team. So being on a team, like you really get a team atmosphere, and then being in this role with all these people, like we are a team. We call each other team members, teammates. And like
Mm.
that's also really important. And I think, I mean, yeah, people are on teams in high school, but the college aspect of like how much more important it is really also helps.
No, thank you. Taria?
So like I mentioned, I went to USM. I originally started with a bachelor's degree in tourism and hospitality, but lucky me, I got to be in college during COVID. So I had a lot of time on my hands and not much to do as everything was closed. And I don't know if they offer it now, but when I was in school, I graduated in 2023 for reference. You were able to do dual degree program. So you would get two separate bachelor's degrees as long as you gained enough credits. It was 150 credits at the time when I was a student. So during my second year in college, I explored the communications degree as an additional bachelor's degree because a lot of classes overlined with what I was already taking in tourism and hospitality. And it kind of worked out in my favor that communications and tourism and hospitality are both things that I use in my day to day career nowadays. Tourism and hospitality degree, definitely a lot of the things that I've learned relate to my day to day and how hotel operates, a lot of useful knowledge. I wouldn't say like you took one class and it's exactly what you're doing at work. I think the biggest thing that college taught me is how to manage my time, how to stay organized, and how to complete tasks um, for a job. So I think the career path worked out for me. I'm so glad that's the degrees I chose, and I do use both of them, which I think is very rare nowadays. But I think it worked out great for me.
Awesome. Right?
Yeah, so I also graduated from USM actually this past May with a degree in communications, which absolutely helpful. A lot of like the communications classes I took were focused on like how to tend to audiences and learning how to like tell stories. And I think like the communications classes were helpful, but I also took a lot of marketing and social media classes, which is my job. So I think those were a bit more helpful. But I think obviously having my degree is like very helpful and has gotten me far, but I think my biggest learning has come from the experiences that I've had. I did a few internships at USM or through USM. I joined a few clubs. And so I think the college experience itself and the connections that USM gave me maybe were a bit more helpful in my career. Yeah, so I think it's kind of a mix. Like obviously what I learned in school was incredibly helpful, but social media is always changing. And so what I learned about social media 3 years ago kind of like works for this, but also like I mean change trends are changing every day, audiences are changing, how like social media looks is changing. So it's a lot of just growing and changing and flexibility. So yeah, I think it's kind of depends how you look at it.
Yeah. Great. Johns?
Well, I can say for sure, I did an associate's at SMCC in hospitality, and I can say for sure that it helped me in my role at the hotel because I actually ended up picking up a leadership promotion before I even had the chance to do my internship for college. Um, but as far as what it actually does prepare you with, I think it um, because doing an associate's, it was just 2 years. We got kind of surface level on a lot of different things, but it was still really helpful to know about all of the facets of hospitality. So I'm on front desk, so when you're in sort of like a quarterbacking position, which if you're supervising in the front desk, especially like towards the evening, it's kind of only you there to manage a lot of things. Um, Having a baseline level of knowledge for a lot of different departments and different things that go on in the hospitality sector, you can anticipate things and you can understand what's going on for other people who you work with, which is really valuable. So I just think it's very valuable.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think what really strikes me as everyone is sort of talking is like some of you really came in, you were like, hospitality, I know I'm going to do it. Yes, let's do this. And then those degrees have been incredibly helpful. But then also just how much of hospitality is just business and communications, like so that there are so many other different ways that you can study within college that are really relevant to hospitality careers that are just not necessarily the title of hospitality in your major. So I think that that's really great insight. Um, what I'd love to do is now is kind of walk through what does your day-to-day look like? Obviously, no 2 days look alike in hospitality. I think that's one of the things that all of us love about it is that no 2 days are the same. But maybe just kind of tell me what an average day might look like for you. Walk me through an average day. And I'll start with Raya just to sort of mix it up a little.
Yeah, like you said, no 2 days are alike. I spend a lot of my time at my desk planning what we're going to post on social media, figuring out when we're going to post it, looking at our content calendars. We have two different accounts, so keeping those separate and figuring out what to post on one account versus the other account, writing captions, editing photos, videos, all anything social wise. And then there's other days where I'm not at my desk and I'm just fully in the brewery getting content of them brewing a beer or in the tasting room if there's a new release, trying to get content of that. My like all-time favorite thing to do is be in the tasting room when there's dogs there and taking pictures of the dogs. Um, it's great. And then I guess like a lot of the time too, I may be at my desk and not plan on filming content today. And I get a message and it's like, hey, we're doing a really cool thing. You should come take a video of it. So I'm heading over to get content. So it keeps me on my toes. And just I think being flexible and able to do like whatever the day brings you. Typically have like my day outlined, but it's always changing.
Yeah. Daria.
Um, Being in HR, human resources, you really never know what situation you might walk into when you get to the office in the morning. But for me, as I mentioned, a lot of my duties have to do with international visa workers, H2B and J1s. In the summer, I maybe on properties a lot more, just connecting with our employees, making sure they have everything that they need in the housing, at work, training wise. Like I said, I oversee staff housing. So assigning rooms to clean to people that are on my team, stepping in and helping them set up rooms myself as well, organizing events for our seasonal staff. But I also do a lot of HR administrative duties. When it comes to H2B visa, collecting paperwork, it's a lot of legal paperwork and it's a lengthy process. When it comes to recruitment, I oversee like our hiring platform. You can see who applied for what job, sending resumes to our managers, encouraging them to interview candidates. I also have a hybrid style work. So I work from home a couple of days a week and a couple of days from the office. In the summer, it's a little more of me being in person since I do oversee staff housing. But just a lot of sitting work on my email, communicating, but also I can be active during the summer when we do have people in our staff housing.
John?
Yeah, my day, it depends a lot because I'm in operations. So depends on what time I'm coming in and if since I'm relied on, it can be at different times a day at a 24-hour business. But I think what helps me like stay grounded for my day is figuring out what's going on at that exact moment. So looking at our reporting procedures from the prior shifts to me, and then looking at what we have coming ahead and getting things organized so it goes well. Um, that's pretty much the big picture. Luckily, we have some pretty good reporting standards as far as like our shifts go. So we can get the lowdown on all of our arrivals, anybody who's having an ongoing issue, what to look out for, and we have some good staff who like relaying information to make sure everything goes smooth. So most of the time, I'm either doing check-ins and check-outs myself, or setting things up for other people to do them well. And we have a lot of people coming in with prior requests and certain things that are unique to them and loyalty levels and things to get set. And there's always something different going on with all of our food and beverage outlets. So a lot of a lot of making sure that we know what's going on in the building so that we can be, you know, as useful to the people who we're interacting with as possible. Um, that's it can change between what time of day and the morning, evening, but that's the point.
Great. And last but not least.
Yeah, so our days change quite a bit, especially summer versus winter time. Summer is very high volume here, so most of our menus don't change and everything's the same. If we're out of something, we just need to tell our team. Uh, as managers, we're in charge of doing payroll in the morning. We're in charge of making the setup for who's going upstairs, who's going downstairs, who's going outside. We have to make sure the kitchen's ready to go, all that fun stuff. And then in the winter time, we have some specials, and then we might have like Maine restaurant weeks coming up, so we have to make sure we're prepared for that. We have to tell our team about that. We try and do little morning meetings if you're here in the morning. And then at switchover, we have to check out every server and every host and runner to make sure that they completed all their tasks before they go and everything's cleaned up and the restaurant still looks good to go for the next people who are to come in, and kind of just are controlling the people who are here, but not too bad.
Yeah. Great. And maybe I'll start with you on this one, Rosie, because you didn't come in kind of expecting you would go into hospitality, but what were your expectations coming into the industry and how is it compared to reality?
Um, I honestly expected to have a little bit more help than I did coming in. I came in with one of our managers who was above me, just acting like everybody obviously knows what's going on, so why bother telling anybody? And that is just not how things work. And you do rely heavily on your team members and you're trusting everybody around you. And if someone falls short of that, it can mess everything up. So in that sense, I was kind of like thrown off. It just was not, 6 months into this, I was like, I'm done.
Mm.
I don't want to work here anymore. And my boss was like, just hang on, like it gets better. And then we got to the summertime and that the rush of all of the people coming in and the adrenaline and like it's just like what I was doing before as a server and all that. Like you're just trying to make sure the restaurant stays running, but you're doing all of that and making sure that everybody else is doing their jobs.
Mm.
So in a way, it was what I was already doing, but in another way, it's like you're just very reliant on everybody doing their job. And I didn't realize how much so that is until I
Mm.
was in the position.
Yeah, that's a great insight. John.
Um, yeah, I don't know really what I had for expectations because um, my first role in hospitality was in convention services and banquets, which for that you have to be very adaptable and be able to move quickly. Um, I guess what I would say was an interesting learning moment as far as like expectations go is the area that I'm from is very tourism focused,
Mm.
very engage with the guest, tell them all about the local area, make a connection or something. But the market segment for the property that I'm at right now, we have a good mix of types of people who are traveling. So you still have like the people who are visiting tourism for Maine, and especially so in the summer. But what we also have is a lot of people who come to Maine for business, like once a week, they travel all the time, and you can tell they travel all the time because you can see their Marriott level and everything like that. You have people who are here for government reasons, people who are like pilots and airline staff members, or are part of like sports teams and stuff. So, um, realizing that as far as like check-ins and operations go, there are people who just want like the same thing every time, and they want to have a good interaction, but they don't want it to be like, where are you from? Like, how's your uncle?
Mhm.
Um, so understanding that there was a mix, and then like good hospitality isn't just like, being super welcoming and like creating a connection. It's also like delivering the service exactly how the person wants.
Mhm.
Um, that was something that I definitely didn't have reference to beforehand from working in like small markets in like mid-coast tourism areas. Yeah.
Yeah, knowing your audience, basically, and being able to adapt to your audience. That's so important. Thank you. Um, let's do Daria and then Raya.
Um, as I mentioned, I started my hospitality career in restaurant industry as a bartender and then restaurant supervisor. So having that role combined with my hospitality education, I was expecting it to be busy, have unexpected things come up. Um, and I did really love it, especially in college. It was great to just have those quick bartending shifts and work a couple times a week, and it was fun. It's now a fun party trick for me since I do remember all of the drinks. But coming into HR, I really liked the restaurant industry because you never knew what was happening and there were so many things going on at the same time, and you never like got bored in a way or lost your attention span. Going into transitioning into an office job, more of a desk job, I was a little scared at first to get bored, the easiest way to explain it, or like lose my productivity because I wasn't interested in the tasks that I was doing or the tasks were repetitive. But what I've learned, and this is my personal experience in HR, you never know what your day will look like. You never know what employee would have a problem, or when it comes to HTB documents, what I would need to get for our attorneys urgently and have to call multiple properties and try to get in touch with their managers. So I think for me, I was scared to have a very repetitive day to day and not enjoy the work that I do, but it actually turned out to be the complete opposite. I don't know what I'm coming into every day, and it works for me personally. I need my day to day to be different, something going on constantly. And there's so many different projects that I work on at the same time that if I get bored of something, I can just move on to the next project and then come back to the other one when I'm feeling like it. But yeah.
So yeah, this is my first like hospitality role. In the past, like I didn't work in a restaurant or anything hospitality when I was younger. And so in the past I had like worked for nonprofits or I worked for USM for a little bit. And so coming into a hospitality field where there's so many people working in so many different roles is just like crazy, especially, I mean, I was pretty familiar with Allagash beer before I started working here, and I had come to the brewery and then stepping into it and seeing behind the scenes of just how many people there are in the different fields. I think also social media wise, this is my like first role where social media is a primary like tool for customer engagement and getting our brand out there, where in the past I like did social media for different companies, but it was like more a second thought, or like we were using our platform to like promote events rather than here we're trying to get people to come visit us, try our beer, also promoting events, but it's pretty different. So I think working in a role where it's just so different from what I've done in the past, um, wasn't a shock, but it was definitely a change. Um, but I love it. And I much prefer having a social media platform that we're like actively using and engaging in and using it for like our business goals, customer experience, events, releases, engagement, and really prioritizing that.
You're really trying to build a relationship with your customer in
Exactly.
a real meaningful and deep way. Yeah,
Yeah. And we have
absolutely.
like people engaging more on our socials than I have had in the past, which is really nice.
Compared to a nonprofit or USM, yeah, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, what skills or habits do you rely on most day to day in your current role? Like what is it? What are like tools that you really rely on, or tools that you feel like somebody who's going into this career really needs to have, kind of whichever way you want to think about it. So I'll start with you, since you're already here.
Um, I would say being organized. I mean, being organized just in day to day is like very important and something that I need in my life. But specifically for social media, like I said, we have two different accounts. So making sure both of our content calendars are up to date and not accidentally posting on one account, which I have done before. It's not that big of a deal, but it's not the best. So yeah, my to-do list, making sure like keeping track of, oh, this beer is getting released on this day, which means earlier in the week I need to get photos of it, figure out like what the beer is and get the write up or any of our releases. Similar with like events, if we need to promote the events, making sure communication, I think, is also very important. Being able to communicate with like other members of the team that are like maybe in the tasting room or in brewery operations, figuring out like if there's an event or a beer getting released. So yeah, I'd say organization and communication, I'd be nowhere without, and it would probably just be like a scrambled mess. Um, yeah.
Great. Rosie.
I would say probably communication's a big one. Well, no matter where you are. We fall short of it sometimes, and especially up the chain because we have shacks all over the place. I just work at the restaurant, but we do have like 27 shacks across the US. So our HR, our corporate, like when we don't contact them or they don't contact us in a timely manner, communication falls short, everything gets wonky. It's not very fun. Um, so that timeliness and staying calm and positive no matter the situations. People get riled up very easily if they don't have their food on time, if it's just very hot out, even people just don't always love that. And if we respond negatively or erratically or just high energy levels, people don't really love that. So just staying calm and staying positive for our team to keep moving forward are big ones for us too.
Daria?
Definitely I would agree staying organized. I have a notebook that I use and I talk to so many different people during the day and there's so many different things I need from a specific person. So I learned it from my current manager making lists for the specific person that I'm meeting with. So like I have a coworker, his name is Lyndon, and I meet with him once a week. I make a Lyndon list and then I add to it during the week whenever I think of something. Just writing things down works best for me. I always think, oh, I'm gonna remember, but then I wish I would have written it down to remember it. And I also use my Outlook calendar a lot. I time block on my own calendar. So if I have a big project that I need to work on, I block that time on my calendar. Am I necessarily working on it for 4 hours? No, but I know that I've blocked out this time in my day to try and focus on that specific project. But yeah, for me, lists, using my notebook, writing anything I need down. And then also using my calendar as was time blocking and just giving myself my own reminders on my calendar. And I'm a very big over communicator with my team. I would rather text you about it or send you a Teams message 5 times in a row just to make sure we have communicated that and over communicated, and to avoid any mishaps or miscommunication in the future.
Mm. Tom?
Yeah, so in my role, because it's more operations and guest services, I will talk to and meet like 600 people in a week, um, which can become a lot to keep track of, um, as far as guest services. So I think as far as habits go, um, just constant honesty is really helpful, um, because you know you're always on the same page, with what the kind of relationship that you have with the people that you're dealing with. And accountability goes along with that. So if you're in a guest recovery situation, then staying accountable for it is really important because you don't want to have somebody going around the loop because then you're turning something that should be a positive experience as far as like an intangible service for guest service, but into like a negative thing. So being accountable is very important. Uh, but to go along with that, not stretching yourself out too thin because it's very easy when you want to take care of people to just say yes and yes and yes. So that's where, supervising and managing and delegating comes into it. And if you bring up a good team behind you that can take care of these things that you want to get taken care of for people, then it's gonna show like strength, and it'll build trust with the people that you're well, who are purchasing your service, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Um, what are some experiences or mentors that have helped you grow early in your career? Something that's like sort of influenced you when you were getting started. John, I'll start with you.
Well, at SMCC, we have a distinct unfair advantage, with our director for the hospitality program. She is a wealth of knowledge and has an incredible amount of relations with amongst the industry in Maine, and along with that, a significant ability to set up opportunities and relationships with other people in the industry for her students, and that's our um, our department chair, Maureen. Um, so that is the primary mentor because she has opened the door for not only myself but a lot of students to meet other mentors to take them further. Um, that's the biggest one, actually. So
That's great. I think Maureen is actually on this call, so I'm sure she really
yeah,
appreciates
she
that.
wished me luck. So
Oh, good.
and she's coming here tomorrow with one of her classes to do a little bit of a tour thing, and then we're setting up more internships, so which is great.
That's wonderful. I love that. Ryah.
So I really prioritized my experiences in college, knowing that I'm like a very hands-on learner and building those experiences would greatly benefit me once I graduated, and they absolutely have. Um, I got an internship through the Career Hub my junior year of college. And I also just tried to get like, I don't know, something lit inside of me my junior year and was like, okay, I really need to focus and figure out what I'm doing once I leave here. So I got involved with the Career Hub. I had an internship, which led me to a lot of professional connections and just really gave me that like baseline experience and how to then grow from that. And then my senior year, I continued to be pretty involved at USM. And I think I've been pretty lucky to have like so many mentors and people cheering me on, which I've always felt very grateful for. And I think like what was really helpful is that they were cheering me on, but also they were like trusting me and giving me experiences on how to continue growing into my career. Um, yeah, and I think without those experiences or mentors, I would have had would be in a very different place right now. So I think just leaning on the people around you and building a little community is so greatly important.
Rosie?
I had two of my bosses here that are still working with the company really pushed me to be where I am now, and I wasn't so sure about it, and they're like, just do it. Like you can't think twice about it because it's gonna make you not want to do it, and if you absolutely hate it, we will figure something else out for you. So I think like knowing that not only were they pushing me to be a better like person, like to do a better job, but they had a plan if I hated what I was doing. But also my career advisor in college, I was going to interviews for different things for like a PT aide for things for health science because that's what my degree was in. And I was like, I don't know, like I could do it, but do I think I'm gonna love it every day? I don't know. And I was lucky enough that my career advisor's husband works in a restaurant in Portland. And when I told her that these guys were asking me if I wanted to be a manager here, she was like, if you work there and if you like it, I'm not going to say not to do it. And for a career advisor to supposed to be pushing you to go into the career path that your degree is in, and for her to not push me towards that at all, and like, because she gets the industry too, I think that was kind of eye-opening for me that like there are other jobs that I could like, and I'm already in like this career situation and I can just go for it and nobody's gonna
Yeah,
be like, you shouldn't be doing that because you didn't go to school for that. I think that was a big one for me.
awesome. Sorry.
Um, I think for me, they preach this in college, at least for me in the hospitality program. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So connections do get you a lot further than your education. I don't think I've had like a one specific mentor. I've been fortunate to have great professors at my time at USM. Maureen, as John mentioned, also taught a class at USM when I was there. She's been a great resource as well. Tracy, I don't know if she's still part of USM, but Tracy was the head of tourism and hospitality. She has always invited me to networking events, even post college, which has introduced me to a lot of different people. And just I am very much of like a go-getter. Like I want to learn as much as possible in any industry that I'm in. When I was in the restaurant industry, I tried to ask to learn as much as I can about ordering stuff like that, just so I have a better understanding of what it's like. Um, but just I think the most important thing is just being open to learn different skills that you didn't think were necessarily part of the job you're in. And like I said, networking is key.
Yeah, I think that's true no matter what career you go
Yeah.
into, for sure. Absolutely. Tracy Mishu is now at University of Maine in Orono, or she's sitting there, but she's actually in charge of the Tourism, Hospitality, Outdoor Recreation Thor
Yep.
program statewide. They're trying to launch a program where you can minor in tourism and hospitality no matter which University of Maine college you're at, which I think is a really exciting initiative. So, yeah. Um, I have more questions, but I want to make sure that if anybody in the audience has questions, that we get to them. So if you want to put any questions you have in the Q&A, on the call, I'll keep asking questions, but definitely make sure we get to people's questions if they have them, put them in the Q&A. Okay. All right. I would love to know what are your future goals and aspirations for your career? Daria, you kind of mentioned that you were interested in continuing to move up in HR. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
Yes, I would like to get my HR certification. It's a SHRM certification. It's just a professional certification that can get you a higher paying salary if I were to switch jobs. A lot of big corporations require that for their HR management roles, which is the next step that I'm looking for. I do really love the hybrid mode, and I think in the future I would love to have either a hybrid job like I do right now or a fully remote one. Um, I loved coming in person, but having the flexibility to work from home changed my life and it works great for me. So that's the two big things. I'm very interested in career progression. And then when I accepted the role was Kennebunkport Resort Collection, I was very clear with them that I would like to see a lot of career progression in the role, be it next up from coordinator to generalist and then HR manager. But long term, HR manager and possibly just a fully remote like HR director role for a bigger corporate company, like a regional HR director. A lot of those roles are remote, but I definitely want to stay in HR field. I enjoy it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily think that, hospitality is something that would have a remote role. So it's very cool that you're in that kind of hybrid position. It's great. Rosie?
Sorry, I got distracted.
No.
Um, I don't know. I feel like no matter like what job you're in, like you're gonna want to move up somehow. In the restaurant industry, it's kind of hard. We have restaurant managers, AGMs, and then GMs. And then we now have an area manager. But I feel like all of us are so comfortable here that me saying like I want to move up to AGM or something is hard because I can't see the AGM leaving and I wouldn't want him to. Um, but because we're such a big company and we have so many other places, I wouldn't be opposed to like switching positions completely or traveling. Like my goal is I really want to travel more while I can. And nothing's tying me to Portland other than I absolutely love it here and I don't think I could live anywhere else. But I could travel other places and I could go help them open new places and things like that. And I mean, as long as our company is doing well as a whole, I would love to move within it, but not leave the company.
Yeah. And I think something that is very cool about hospitality is the opportunity to travel. Like if you wanted to go spend a season working out in another place, like a lot of them will have housing and you can go work for a season, see somewhere else, and then you can go seasonally somewhere else. And there's a lot of opportunity for travel and work, I think, in this industry, which is very
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah. John.
Um, I guess ultimately the goal would be to move up different levels of operations management. But I mean, currently, as far as goals, this property where I'm at has been kind of in a post-COVID rebuild for a while. And we've made a lot of good additions to the leadership team. It's finally very filled out, and we're making a lot of efforts towards strengthening all of our different types of procedures in our departments. And we're making very good progress. So I think in the short term, my goal is just to um, strengthen everything around me, all of the staff that I supervise and all of their procedures, so it can basically almost run on its own and not really need me anymore. And then, use that as a platform to try to do the same thing, but on higher and higher levels. Uh, that's really where I'm at right now.
Awesome.
Okay. I kind of don't really know right now. I am pretty new into my role. I started interning at Allagash in May and then was offered a full-time role in December. So at the moment, like I'm pretty comfortable here and want to at least put in like some time working with this company. At the moment, I'm like, I don't really want to leave because it's so great here. And kind of similar to what Rosie was saying, like our marketing department is pretty, like, I don't see a lot of these people leaving. Um, and so, yeah, I think it's just like one of those things where the goal is always to like progress into your career. But at the moment, I don't really know how I'll do that quite yet. Um, and I'm still pretty young. So I think where I am right now is like where I should be. I think like my overall goal that I've had all my life is that I just want to make sure that when I look back on like what I did is that I did something positive. I'm proud of what I did, where I worked, who I worked with. Um, yeah, so I think I'm always open to new possibilities and opportunities, but at the moment, I'm pretty good where I'm at. But who knows? I guess like reaching really far, it'd be cool if I like owned a marketing social media company of my own, but who knows?
Yeah. And I think that we often get stuck in this place of thinking that a future goal or aspiration has to be a promotion. And I don't necessarily think that that's true. That can be, I'd like to travel more. That can be, I'm happy where I am and who knows where I'll end up next. Like, I think that those are all super valid things. Um, if you could give one piece of advice to current students exploring the field, um, or who think they might want to go into hospitality, like what would you tell someone who was considering this field? And Ryan, we can start with you.
Okay. Um, you have to put yourself out there and get involved. I kind of held myself back from that until my junior year when I was like, okay, that like what I want to go into is so community and people based that like the people that you know are going to be your greatest asset. So I think like just put yourself out there. Um, like while you're still in school, if having a job is hard or like you don't have the time for that, there's a lot of like clubs, I guess I don't know, tourism wise, but like social media wise, if you're interested in that or marketing, I ran social media for just a semester for the student body president, and I added that to my resume, and the amount of people that ask me about just that one little thing is kind of wild. And so I think, yeah, just put yourself out there. I know USM has a lot of incredible networking and career opportunities. The Career Hub is incredible. It's such a great resource. I use that so much. And they have like networking dinners and go to panels, listen to panels, and just, yeah, get yourself out there and start networking and connecting with as many people as you can. And get on LinkedIn and get connections because people will just message you randomly or celebrate you for like people you've never met or just like, yay, happy you got this job. So, yeah.
John.
Um, my first bit of advice is stay in school and don't do too much at work, even if you're already working in the industry that you want to go into after school. Um, focus on school first. But outside of that, I'll use one of the um, pillars for the wider company that I worked for, Aimbridge, is and this is hotels obviously, but think like a guest, act like an owner. So it's like keep the perspective of the people who are coming to your business in mind, but then also have accountability in like for a deeper way. So it's really easy to do the same thing over and over and then not be able to I guess maybe not empathize is the right word, but not be able to see the distinction between one guest from the other to the other, but they're all separate people and they're all interacting with your service, and you need to keep their perspective in mind, but also operate in a way that you would want um, the person who owns the entire business and would want everybody to reflect their values. So it's small and big, but stay in school.
Stay in school. I like it. Daria.
One thing I wish I did more while I was a student at USM is taking advantage of the Career Hub and the opportunities that they offer. I really only used it once to edit my resume, and I wish I used the services so much more. I didn't really get as involved in like networking events until after I graduated college, but if there's an opportunity that your professor tells you about or the department head to go to a networking opportunity, please do. There's so many great ones, and It's an hour or two of your time, and you never know who you might meet. And yeah, I think the biggest is networking. And I do agree, LinkedIn. I really slept on LinkedIn while I was in college, and I became very active on it after college. And it, yes, a lot of messages that you get are like the sponsored messages, but you never know who might message you or who you get connected with. You just don't know what opportunity is are there for you unless you put yourself out there. So networking, LinkedIn, and just like if you can, you take advantage of specifically for hotel industry job shadow programs, which I think USM does have at their career hub. Just if you're interested in a role, I'm sure they can connect you with a hotel or restaurant nearby, and you can do a week or a day of job shadow just so you have a better understanding of what the role is like.
I would say number one, don't give up. Don't give up on trying to get a job. Don't give up on what you think you want to do. Um, and ask a lot of questions because it's going to help you in the long run. Um, Another thing that I feel like a lot of people forget when they're going into any job is to have fun. Work shouldn't just be work. You should like what you're doing. And I think that if you don't like what you're doing, you're probably in the wrong field. And that's a good thing to remember and look back on. And if you need to like take a minute during the day because you really don't like what you're doing, because I have been there, to just walk away for a few minutes and be like, I'll be back. Because then you remember all the good things and all the reasons why you do work there and you do like to have fun and this job isn't terrible. I think we have to remember that in all honesty. Um, and also, it's everybody's first time on Earth. So people make mistakes and you make mistakes, other people make mistakes, and life still goes on and it does get better.
That's great. Thank you. We have 2 minutes left in our webinar. I don't see any questions in the Q&A, so I'm wondering if anybody has any final thoughts or words of wisdom or something that they wanted to say that we didn't get to say in the last hour of our conversation. If anyone has anything else they want to add before we end for the day.
Um, I know Chat GPT AI is a big topic of discussion. I love it. I use it a lot to refine my emails, just to make myself sound more professional or professionally mean when I need to. Um, but I've used it to tailor my resume towards a specific job that I'm applying for. So I would take the job description of a job I'm applying for versus my resume and tell it what skills I have and for it to integrate it into my resume so I'm a more attractive candidate for that specific role. So that's the biggest thing I've learned being in the HR field. Tailor your resume towards the specific role you're applying for. Don't just have one resume they use for all roles. It makes you so much more attractive for that role and a higher chance of getting the opportunity.
That's great. Anybody else have anything they want to add in our final minute? One last minute. Yeah, John.
Take advantage of your benefits. If you're working in hospitality, especially if it's like a larger hotel group or a giant management company, they are set up to do a lot of benefits because they have a lot of employees. So if it's travel, if it's like weird healthcare things like discount on gym memberships, um, whatever it is, there's a lot because the hours can be rough for people who work in hospitality and tourism, but there's usually a lot of like perks, and it really helps to actually take your PTO and take advantage of the things that your employers want to give you. And Dasha's nodding her head because she's in HR.
Amen. Amen. All right, it is 1:30. Thank you guys so much for coming and speaking to us and being a part of this conversation. I think that tourism offers some really amazing opportunities. It's a really great career, and I think that this is a great panel that represents the best of what the industry has to offer. So thank you all for being here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.